Hey fantasy football fans, it's me, the Fantasy Football Girl, coming at you with another edition of Vlog Times. I want to thank all of you who have been participating week in and week out in betting on Boldness for Boobies. We're raising a lot of money for the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. This weekend, which is week 8 of the 2011 NFL season, will be our final weekend as it is the end of October and the end of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So be sure to check back later this week for the next and final bold prediction. Also want to thank everybody who's been listening to the X's and Y's podcast. I've been saying it week after week. We are now on iTunes. Please do give us a listen, and if you have been listening and like what you've been hearing, please give us a good rating and a nice review, or you can check us out if you don't have iTunes or aren't Mac compatible or whatever at www.hisandhersfootball.com. All right, well, that's all the news that I have. Let's get to some bus bombs and bonuses. CJ2, are you okay? Yeah, that's right. My bust for week 7 is Chris Johnson, running back for the Tennessee Titans. Now, this former stud running back has just not been producing as fantasy owners had hoped. In fact, he's only averaging 2.9 yards per carry, and he only has 1 touchdown in the past 6 games, which was in week 5 against Pittsburgh. A lot of people had hoped that in week 6, which was the Titans' bye week, they would be able to tweak a struggling O-line and really a tired offense altogether and come back in week 7 fighting. That did not happen. Johnson had a season-low 10 carries for 18 yards, 6 receptions for 27 yards. In fact, the entire offense just looked awful. They lost to the Texans 41-7. How embarrassing. When asked about this issue, Chris Johnson claimed that his production had nothing to do with his conditioning, nor the fact that he held out the entire training camp. He alluded to the fact that it was the O-line and that if they didn't give him the space to run, he couldn't very well break one off. There you have it. In either case, in week 8, this coming week, the Titans draw a tasty matchup against that feeble Colts run D. If Johnson and the offense as a whole can't take advantage of the Colts' weaknesses, then we're going to have some real troubles and probably worse than a bust, but a full-on bomb. Welcome to the NFL, DeMarco Murray. My bomb for week 7 is absolutely because he played like the bomb, the rookie running back in Dallas, DeMarco Murray. Now, if you watch Betting on Boldness for Boobies, you know that I thought Maurice Morris would have a better week than Murray. I think most people thought the entire Detroit offense would have a better week than they did, but that's beside the point. Even when I'm wrong, I gotta say I'm wrong and give this kid props. He may not have had the start, but he certainly got the story. With Felix Jones out nursing that high ankle sprain and Tashard Choice falling out of favor in Dallas, DeMarco Murray took advantage of his opportunity. He carried the ball 25 times for 253 yards and scored a 91-yard touchdown. Not bad for a kid who had only 71 yards combined in the past 5 games. Now, Felix Jones is expected to sit out week 8 again, which would definitely up Murray's value. If he's available on your waiver wire, certainly pick him up. They draw the Philadelphia Eagles and their not so great run defense, so it should be a nice matchup. Obviously, don't expect him to have the game that he had against the 32nd ranked St. Louis Rams run defense, but still, this kid, Bombsville, in a good way. I think I just said Bombsville, yeah? Sorry about that. Won't happen again. Just got a little excited. What a good week for bonuses, right? I mean, you've got Jenkins and Ponder hooking up in Minnesota. You've got Roy E. Williams actually holding on to the ball and Bestill My Heart scoring a touchdown in London/Chicago. You've got Larod Stevens Howlings making things happen when Beanie Wells goes out with a knee injury. You even have John Beck putting up fantasy numbers in Washington. So how's a girl to choose her bonus? Well, I figured since I ate a little crow on DeMarco Murray, might as well give myself some props on Daniel Fells. My bonus for week 7 is the Denver Broncos tight end, Daniel Fells. Now, I mentioned him last week on Bus Bombs and Bonuses as a possible sleeper. I talked about him on the X's and Y's podcast. I even made him my extra on the Fantasy Football Guys. I just had a feeling that he and Tebow could connect in the end zone, especially especially given that matchup against the Dolphins defense, who are really weak at the tight end position. And it happened. He only caught the ball twice for 31 yards, but the second time was in the end zone. He helped the Broncos pull ahead of the Dolphins and win 18-15. Now, I don't think that Fells is an every week play, obviously, but it is going to be interesting moving forward to see how he and Tebow continue to develop. I think he could end up being a good middle target for him. Don't forget weeks 15, 16, and 17 of last season, the 2010 season, they connected for 4 to 3 receptions depending on the week. I think in week 15, Fells had 4 receptions, and week 16 and 17, he had 3 apiece. Still, there is a pre-existing familiarity with one another. This week, however, week 8, the Broncos draw the Detroit defense, much tougher matchup, especially against the tight end position. So I don't think he's an automatic plug-in this week, but I do think you've got to keep an eye on him.